Hey, it's me, Steve. It is still May 17th, 2017. Time is 15:33. Temperature is 84 degrees Fahrenheit out. And I am going to do another Geo-Rant. I'm sitting in a parking lot right now because I'm going to show a chart. And I got to get a dehumidifier for the basement because my little one-eyed kitty now, she loves the basement. She has to live there. But I need to make sure the moisture's down to keep, mold and mildew out. Just cleaned it too. And stained my deck. But anyway, well, the good one, the other one is going to die horribly in my fire pit. But anyway, I'm going to talk today about, you hear me talk a lot about the Mid-continental Rift, especially the sediments that filled the Rift Basin when the Rift failed and the basin began to subside and started becoming full of sediments. So I thought I would show you a stratigraphic column. I've talked about this before. Talking about those rocks which are in the Mid-continental Rift. I focus on the sedimentary rocks, not the igneous rocks below. But anyway, I'm going to show you the chart and then I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to show it to you slowly. Okay, you can see, there you go. All right, now you can see that I have divisions here. These are divisions between stratigraphic units. This is an unconformity. There's a question mark because I'm not sure that there's a distinct one there or not. Because this unit could actually be part of the Frida, but I'll get into that. But this top unit, the Jacobsville group, which used to be called the Jacobsville Sandstone, is what I submitted a paper on last year and got published in the Journal of Stratigraphy, redefining this and dividing it into 5 formations and essentially eliminating the Bayfield group in Wisconsin as a stratigraphic unit and pulling the formations over with the addition of 2 other ones into the UP. And this unit intertongues with all these because it's fault proximal. It's along the Keweenaw. Like I said, this may actually be Upper Frida. It may correlate with the Upper Frida. But you see I have Arcosic, Aronite. I have words like Aronite. Remember, Aronite is sandstone. Wacky is also sandstone. I just didn't put sandstone on here. I actually did this chart like 2 weeks ago. I was going to do this sooner, just didn't get around to it, and I still have red stain on my hands from doing the deck. But anyway, the Jacobsville's the youngest. Remember, we make these things from the oldest to the youngest. It doesn't necessarily show their field relations, like things like faults and stuff like that can offset this, but it gives you a general idea of the stratigraphy, which you should be looking for there. And you see here, this is 1 inch. I have equal to 1,000 meters. This here, if you take that and you measure it out, you'll get the typical thicknesses of these units in the Mid-continental Rift Basin. They do vary somewhat, like near faults or where there's erosion has occurred, or strong unconformities, but it's a good general guide. Well, below the Jacobsville group, and you notice there's no dates on here because this is a lithostratigraphic column. In lithostratigraphy, we deal with the physical characteristics of the rocks and how they relate to each other in space. We don't care so much about the dates. I mean, you're supposed to mention the times and the timing, and we do put that in our papers, but it's not of the utmost importance because people need to be able to recognize these units who are not geologists, like engineers doing drilling, to find these, okay? And so that's why lithostratigraphy is not chronostratigraphy, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. But below here you see the Frida formation. This is also primarily a sandstone, and I'm working on this right now. I've looked extensively at this in the Upper Peninsula. These are facies. This is what I think is going on. I still have a lot of field work to do to make sure that my interpretation pans out. This may change. That's why I just have unit A, B, and C here, because they're not formal units within the Frida. They're just facies that the evidence is leading me this way. Below the Frida and intertonguing with it is the Nonesuch Shale. The Nonesuch is the thinnest of all the Mid-continental Rift sediments. It intertongues with the Copper Harbor below and the Frida above. It is mostly lacustrine or lake deposits, and it is also the finest grained of the formations overall. And below here, you see the Copper Harbor Formation. Now this I submitted the paper on a few months ago, and it almost got rejected. Now, the one peer reviewer is a good guy. He actually set the stage for this redefinition 20-30 years ago, and he reviewed it. He said it needed major revisions, which I agreed with, and I'll take it to heart because he's the guy that defined all this initially. But the other guy sat there and thought it was really important that I mentioned a bunch of paleomagnetism dates and polarities when my paper is a lithostratigraphic paper. You cannot determine in the field paleomagnetism. It's chronostratigraphy. It's not lithostratigraphy. Lithostratigraphic units are supposed to be identifiable in the field. And he also thought it was important that I divide every little lava flow. And it gets worse than that. But you can't even really do that. Like if you're drilling, unless you know what top of a flow looks like and the structural orientation, you're probably not even going to be able to pick it out. The Copper Harbor does have some lava units in it. And I do redefine those, but I didn't put them here. I just showed you some of them. So, freaking geophysicists, man. You can't show every lava flow. You can't do that. That's not the kicker, though. The kicker is the fact that he thought that in Canada on the eastern side of Lake Superior, that I should mention those units and include all these dates and paleomagnetism. No. East of the Thiel Fault in the Upper Peninsula, this stratigraphy breaks down. It's consistent in Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula. And that's the title of the paper. Redefinition of the Copper Harbor Formation in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and Wisconsin. Lithostratigraphic. But anyway, it breaks down because in the Canadian side, like between Sault Ste. Marie and Wawa, Ontario, the rocks that are exposed there correlate more with these older volcanics, which I don't really study, and they're the oldest, and the Copper Harbor sits on top of it. And even the ones that do are mostly lava units that don't correlate with what's in the Upper Peninsula because the Thiel Fault separates them, like the Mississippian, oh God, I can never pronounce that, volcanics. There's things in there like rhyolites, the Lakeshore Traps, which are the Lakeshore Traps are informal name of these units within the Copper Harbor, have no rhyolites. It's almost all basalt and andesite. Okay, so the stratigraphy breaks down where I was, east of the Thiel Fault, and I wasn't even concerned with that. But, whatever. The paper is going to get published. So, done bitching about that guy. But anyway, and then here are the Berglund Group Undivided, which is basalts, andesites, rhyolites. That was deposited when the Mid-continental Rift was active, still trying to go. It's trying to split the continent apart where Lake Superior now sits, and failed. But anyway, I think that, the colors are approximates. In the field, they're slightly exaggerated, but these are the colors typical of these units. But anyway, that's my rant for today, and I hope you learned something.